Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys second game of this best of three series. We're going to see Ice Climbers go up against RoX, Radical Online Extremists. And yeah, this previous game was really fun with the way of Ice Climbers though. And yeah, all in all, they played a very nice aggressive game, very smooth, very team fight oriented, and it worked out for them by far. So I'm Blaze, this is Rainmaker, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like last game just really showed Ice Climbers' ability to recover because they were very far behind for the first like maybe 12, 14 minutes. But then they grouped up, they fought excellently, and when you have an item disadvantage on heroes like, Earthshaker, Venomancer, and you're just playing 4v5 and letting your anti-mage go top, they played that situation perfectly. And that gave them enough time to get the anti-mage a bunch of farm and eventually let them kind of fight their way out of that situation. So I think, we really got to see some strong play from them. And they're grabbing that Darkseer again.
Yeah, it was very effective last time around, and they can just do a lot with it. The fact is, with the Vacuum Initiation, they can set up for some powerful AoE abilities, or just utilize the fact that not only can he survive extremely well on the offlane, but he can also do a lot of counter damage. The fact is, the more scalable you are as far as stats go, the more Darkseer is going to bring the hurt on. It's the wall replica turning your own allies against you. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. Of course, the Keeper Light does have that Illuminate, which will negate some of the potential by just delivering a lot of damage, but all in all, the question is, will he be able to control the lane effectively enough? Finally gets on through the draft. He's been banned out most of the day, but coming on through here, we'll have to see how he fares in this matchup as they go for their next set of picks.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they'll use this Coddle for. Coddle, he basically has two purposes. He is a great counter pusher, a fantastic tri-lane support, or I guess three, and he allows your carry to farm another side of the map and still be able to show up to important fights. So that increases your carry's farm time a lot. If they don't really take advantage of those three facts, I feel like he's kind of wasted as a first pick. When you look at other very strong heroes, like for example, the Magnus. I hope that we're kind of see some really interesting kind of strat coming from RoX.
Sure enough. I mean, the Phantom Lancer was banned out, so they're not going to go
Magnus,
for the Chakra Magic infusing the Spirit Lance, but building out their lineup, apparently Ice Climber saw this coming, because obviously they have it prepared to just go right away with the Rubik and the Tinker, which worked out pretty well for them last time around. I believe the Rubik was on ROX's lineup, but Tinker was played to some effect on the mid lane there. He did get locked down a little bit as far as who roamed in, who smoked in. There was a lot of aggression coming out of Shadow Demon and Rubik ganking him up, but once he got those travels, he was very effective in just unleashing a lot of zone control and being a very effective hero overall. But combining the Magnus and his reverse polarity with a Gyrocopter's flat cannon cooldown, it is a recipe for disaster if Ice Climber just steps a toe out of line position-wise. So, of course, you can combine that with an Illuminate and just do this obliterate. I mean, this tiny little space, this tiny little circle is just going to light up with so much damage. It's unbelievable. So, we'll have to see if they can get that locked down. But it puts a lot on the shoulders of Magnus. He's going to have to get some amazing polarities off. And so far, Stellainer has been playing mostly mid. So, we'll see if that's what he's going to go for. But, yeah.
I think, if Stellainer is on that Magnus, I think he has the right kind of mentality to play that hero. Once he gets a Blink Dagger on Magnus, I think that, Magnus, one of his heroes that if played aggressively, can completely take over a game. And a lot of teams like to kind of save him for the late game, get that refresher, go and get that kind of maybe a cleave carry like Sven and draw it out. But I think this is going to be a much more impactful Magnus from minutes like 14 to 25. Also, the Gyrocopter, fits ROX's, non-CK Wisp strat of just having a hero that can farm a lot and be super effective with that farm. It's kind of the insurance. If everything goes well, Gyrocopter won't need to, be that active, but he still has a lot of lane presence. He can solo very easily. He allows his supports to go and just help the other lanes and, get a lot of farm themselves while maintaining that late game superiority. Super excited to see him, and also a great counter to the Darkseer wall, since you can immediately burst down all of the Darkseer illusions with Flat Cannon.
Very true. And with that picked up as number one, Gyrocopter, they'll be able to ban out the Anti-Mage, Lifestealer, and the Faceless Void to just, slim down the pickings as far as what Ice Climbers has at their disposal there. Might go for an aggressive carry. The Anti-Mage is not going to be an option this time around, but could go for a Chaos Knight or something like that. We'll have to see. Earthshaker is going to be picked up, so he has a very safe lane if that's what he's looking for.
Luna.
And yeah, Luna is definitely a
Yeah.
really solid option there, one way or another. I mean, vacuuming, it's going to be a lot of potential. One thing to keep in mind, I actually just lost my train of thought, so
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, Earthshaker and Rubik, we've seen how aggressive they can be on the lane, but they also turtle very effectively and can control positions pretty nicely. So it worked out last time around. We'll see if they can kind of pull through the same strategy. But beyond that, it's, yeah, like I said, going to be a lot on the shoulders of Magnus if he's going to control the lanes effectively. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I really want to see? And this is gonna sound crazy, but I think that Ice Climbers could pick a Spectre here. I don't think they will, but if there was ever a lineup where you could pick a Spectre, this would be it. Because unless they go for an aggressive tri-lane, but see, they don't have last pick. Like, I don't think they can actually do it, because if they get aggressively tri-laned and they have a Spectre, it's pretty much game. But if you look at, their lineup, you're right, it's so good defensively. They can basically turtle till the game ends, and they have, a lot of, like, they have a great Hex carrier, and the Tinker, and yeah, they're going for the Luna, which is a much safer carry, don't get me wrong. But, man, I really would love to have seen, like, some super late game strat.
Funny stuff, funny stuff. But Luna's, I mean, she's really great. We talked about how she
Fantastic,
peaks effectively, level 7, level 8, dishes out a lot of damage, but when she goes to late game, those glaives can just do so much very effectively there, has a lot of right-click potential, and is one hero who can really single out the Gyrocopter quite effectively. And that train of thought that I was thinking of before is the fact that Gyrocopter, we talked about how he can sustain in the lane, and just as soon as the lane's pushed out a little bit, if he gets a little bit of breathing room, he can just be like, okay, I'll do things by myself, and then that can allow Bane, Magnus, Keeper Light to set up some really good 3 or 4 man skirmishes that, if necessary, they can always call in with the recall of the Keeper Light, pull him into the fray as well, so he can farm, and then, as necessary, be available for a team fight, pop off that ulti, and just go to town. But in the meantime, the Bane Nightmare to set up the Keeper Light Illuminate is a pretty powerful combo there, and maybe even a Skewer could work the exact same way. So they're going to go with the Queen of Pain for the mid, or sorry, they're going to go for the Queen of Pain. As far as where they're going to put her, well, honestly, probably the best option would be the solo bottom, but Sliner, as we have seen, likes to pick up the mid, and that might mean Sadoi is going to relegate himself to bottom and just to try to survive with that rank 1 Skewer.
I don't know if they'll actually be. I think that's just going to be a solo long lane Magnus. I don't think they're actually going to aggressively tri-lane with a Gyrocopter. Not with this kind of.
Yeah, that's what I might have mixed up there.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Radiant or Dire, but that was what I was talking about. It's just probably a solo offlaner. Sadoi might even go for just a jungle build. He knows, like I said, he knows that the enemy has a lot of good disables, a lot of good lockdown. But if he can get them to cast out the Rubik's telekinesis, then he'll be perfectly fine because he could care less about the Fisher. But all in all, it looks like he might be headed towards that jungle role and just go in, okay, I have a Stout Shield, farm up with Empower and get some good creeps that way. One way or another, though, he's just going to be trying to move towards that Blink Dagger, possibly Arcanes, to make sure that he can initiate very appropriately as time goes by. But for the time being, Keeper Light, who only has a net worth of 63, a lot of consumables, going to be warding down on the bottom, and just try to control that area in general. But 5-man going on together. Let's look at the items. We see a lot of GG branches, of course, quite a few consumables there, but the biggest thing I've noticed, the Queen of Pain's 4-branch build is a little bit weird there. Sometimes you see a Mantle of Intelligence to move towards a Null Tally there, but for the time being, just picking up a couple regeneration. And
I think those are actually pooled, right? Like, that has to be pooled regen, because otherwise you wouldn't have enough. Like, that branch could not be hers. Or one of those restoratives can't be hers.
As far as I can see, they're both hers. So she has 200 gold remaining, doesn't have a ton saved up or anything. But all in all, she'll be able to move towards a bottle at relatively good timing. It's not going to be as fast, comparatively speaking, to most builds where you just go for 350 stored up, but it'll be reliable last hitting against the Tinker, which is something you really need. Right now, Tinker looks like he has a lot with the Lunar Blessing, but 58 CS with his projectile time is actually very, very limited in the early stages of the game. So I think that Queen of Pain, going for the build that she has, will be able to control mid rather effectively, especially with rank 1 Blink, giving the potential to control runes as well. So we have this unpause coming on out, but this smoke up on Bane right off the bat, do you think they're going to be doing some transitioning in, trying to just jump on mid and put pressure on Tinker just like last time?
No, actually, I think that with the smoke on mid, like, while they might do that, because did he skill his Skewer? Because if they skilled Skewer, I'd say that's likely. But I think just buying that early smoke is more to go and get the cooldown going. We've seen RoX really like to use the smokes in the mid-game, and just, as soon as you use it, it will start refreshing. So they're kind of getting maximum value out of that. On a hero like Bane, that doesn't really need a ton of starting items. With 315 base move speed also, you don't need to, like, save a lot for boots either. Another thing to note is that I feel that ROX is really comfortable playing the Gyrocopter against the Darkseer. They did this before where he just goes and gets a bunch of plus stats and then is pulled a little bit of restorative so you can tank the Ion Shell and just deny every single creep. With 57 damage and a Bane to kind of zone out the Darkseer and keep him level 1, I think this top lane will be won fairly handily by the Dire team. It looks, however, that this Darkseer is going to kind of seed that and go and start woodsing immediately.
Yeah, so just kind of going for a 3.5-1-0 lane composition, I suppose you could say. But what it does actually add in decently is a little bit more security on the mid lane there. They don't have really great wards for it, but the fact that they can transition in, they can leave Luna to solo on the bottom, and possibly always just kind of roam around this kind of position here, be ready to be aggressive whenever possible. But Stellainer actually taking some decent right-click damage from Tinker right off the bat. The laser came out, allows him to duel more effectively. A Shadow Strike will pop off, but right now, yeah, he does not want to lose this lane. He had some issues early on last time around, but he is confident that he can come out on top in these exchanges here, and in doing so is just going to try to force Stellainer back. Of course, being on low life himself, he has to be careful.
It was basically the Rubik picked up an illusion rune and just, set it to A-click on the Queen of Pain, and she decided to go and man-fight the illusions, but with the laser coming in, she wasn't able to do the damage and just took a little bit more than she really should have. I think, losing those regeneratives early, it allows her to get bullied a bit more than she really should, and she's behind on the bottle race, which is very surprising considering it's a Quap against a Tinker.
Sure enough, sure enough. I mean, that's a pretty big deal going on forward. She wants to control runes. She has that mobility that Tinker lacks, and I think that could be like a very key aspect to their lineup if they can't get the rune control. That they could really be subjugated to having a rough time of things. As far as scaling into the late game,
Magnus is losing to the Mud Golem's top.
Yeah, I mean, he skilled Shockwave for some reason, which I don't feel is the best course of action. Empower lasts for 40 seconds, so it's something that you can benefit a lot. Obviously, more, it doesn't use all your mana pool, but just seriously, I guess he's relying on Keeper Light to help him out with some chakras if he's going to go for chakra for Shockwave that early. But yeah, duking it out with those scummy Mud Golems is really not going to give him the farm that he would.
Bane's coming mid with a haste rune? Not going to get anything done.
Yeah, well, solo transitioning in, he knows Luna's safe for the time being, and now, yeah, Yol is going to put some pressure out, but the courier is flying, and beyond that, there's only so much that can be done. So they're going to have the Rubik safely keeping him up for the time being, possibly putting up a sentry ward just to make sure there's no wards on higher ground, specifically in this location here. But beyond that, it's just the continuous exchange of these heroes. We're really not going to see too much happen in the laning phase other than the big transitions. They're looking to, specifically ROX, really wants to get some good experience out. Make sure the Magnus has that ultimate, Gyrocopter can commit to a little bit more than just Barrage. And, of course, yeah, just adding in a little bit more breathing room to move in towards the teamfight stage of the game rather than go for little pickoffs and skirmishes early on.
Do you think we'll see either team commit to a Midas and then just try to go and out-farm the other carry? Because right now both carries have very comparable farm. And while both of them can go and join fights very quickly, they're also about the same in the late game. So it's basically farm chicken, like... Who's going to go and decide to join fights and try to get an advantage that way, and who's just going to be like, my team can 4v5 better, and I'm just going to sit back. If I had to go and pick that, by the way, I'd definitely say that the Dire team has a much better lineup for this Gyrocopter just to go and pick up a Midas and not join fights.
Truth. There is some mid-pulling going on, though. The Dire trying to disrupt a Stellainer, trying to pick up some neutrals to make up for some lost experience, but for the time being, Tinker doing a little bit better, and the fact that the supports are going to get some experience of their own is pretty effective for them in that regard. They're comparing that to like the Magnus, who's sitting at level 3, the Bane, who's sitting at about the same. It's really not too much coming out for them specifically. They're going to be behind for a very long time, but the Radiant supports are going to come out on top over time specifically. And that rune spawn is going to be the illusion up top, which could help Stellainer if that bottle comes up fast enough, which of course it does.
Yeah. Great, kind of team play coming out from this Coddle and the Magnus. You're right, it's basically relying on the fact that the Coddle will be using Chakra Magic, but with Chakra Magic, they can actually clear stacks fairly quickly, and that's just getting Magnus farms that there's no way he would be able to get up from the bot lane.
Sure enough, so an interesting kind of dual jungle strat, but for the time being, it's kind of not as effective as I think it should be. But of course, the question is how much time do they have to work with here? Right now, there's no aggression coming out of RoX. We talked about them as a turtle lineup. But IC don't really... there's not that much aggression coming out of IC, honestly. Earthshaker is going to teleport on up top to try to help out the tower, but it's just too little too late. The pressure is already there. Nightmare comes on out, actually. Are they going to try to counter-engage? I don't think so, but... yeah, they find the opportunity, the tower falls, and, I mean, putting gold on the board right now for RoX is really what they want to do to try to stay active. However, it doesn't help their experience, it doesn't help any of them reach their ultimates, and all in all, it's going to be rather limited, other than Gyrocopter picking up an early phase.
Yeah, I mean that Gyrocopter is farming quite well. He's behind on the Luna, and I'm not really sure why. Like, in that sense, we can anticipate him missing like a couple CS just from he has less damage overall, but he needs to keep up. Like, if this Luna isn't going to fight, and looking at that, she's getting treads, right? So she's not going to go for like any of those, move speed builds with the tranquil boots. Like, this Luna wants to farm. She really wants to get those late game items, and I think she needs it considering that she's playing against two things that go straight through BKB. If the Gyrocopter can't keep up, is this Magnus dead? Do we see an Eclipse? No, okay.
No, not going to commit it with the Skier still available. But having that night vision advantage now might be a pretty good option, but two coming in from the flank. Bane wants to pop off a Nightmare for the time being. Got telekinesis up, now the Nightmare comes on through. The channeling nice, just taken by the Rubik. A clicks on his ally. He will take a fall as a result of it, but, sacrificing himself is better than losing the Luna. So kind of the sacrificial lamb there, and the first blood does go the way of the Gyrocopter, who TP'd in to help out in that regard, just to snag the last hit, but all in all, Nexus will at least stay alive for the time being to farm
mid
away.
lane?
And yeah, I didn't actually catch that big off, but the haste rune on Cocoon to Pain, just going in the river is one of those positions where you can't actually find safe ground. You're going to be you have a long way to go before you're going to get anywhere effective. And for that reason, I just obviously going to get picked off there with people like heading him off, pincering him in, and just finding 2 kills really early on, which is what they've been obviously searching for the first few minutes of the game now.
Yep, and now we're going to see the drums almost up on the Gyrocopter, so he is, quickly, with that kill, that tower gold, he's starting to take over that Luna, and once he gets these drums, I think that the Dire team can be even more aggressive. Magnus himself is almost level 5. As soon as he gets access into that ultimate, as Bop at level 7 has access into her ultimate, they can start doing a ton of damage. The Gyrocopter setting up for the Magnus is also, the Gyrocopter ultimate also sets up very well for the Magnus, and that kind of takes the burden off the Magnus a little bit, because otherwise, you have to go for those. You really need Blink Dagger, or you need Skewer in and hope you catch them without getting Ruby gifted.
Now going on Nexus, he does have that Eclipse available, trying to bait the opposition in, but going to get brain sapped and ultied by the Sonic Wave to bring him down just a little bit. Overconfident, thinking that he can survive to get that Eclipse off if they pull themselves out of position, but RoX know their limits and were able to bring him down before that was an actual threat there. And so that Eclipse has been held on to for quite some time now. It looks like Luna's going to be moving towards that Dominator, but the fact is, if she's not farming, she's not going to be obviously getting kills either. And now Gyrocopter is getting a small opportunity to just catch up just a little bit, though he is going to have to push up towards his tier 2 on top, which puts him in a little bit more of a danger zone.
Yep, but that is a completed drums on the courier, and he is, it's going to be difficult for them to kill him. They will need to commit the Rubik and the Earthshaker. Tinker doesn't have boots of travel, so can't, zip in for that gank. And Darkseer, while very effective as a hero, it's not going to be able to kill this Gyrocopter with phase and boots, especially, if you start running very close to the Gyro, he'll just turn on his rocket barrage, and that outdamages the Iron Shell quite badly.
Smoked up by Bane and the Keeper Light going on through. They want to go aggressive here, try to get a pick off on Lawlake, but right now he's not in a position that's going to be an option. They thought that he might be in this position here, the fog, checking the trees most likely next, but the fact is he's long gone, going back onto the jungle and just finding a safe opportunity to fall back, and that's a really good option. When 2 supports fall off the board, you have to have that kind of map awareness right now, and it definitely paid off for them. In the meantime, though, Dire have some amazing ward action. They have the bottom rune and top rune covered essentially. They should be able to kill off this ward as soon as they get vision on it, but beyond that, they have good control of what's going on. You can check the Dire vision and then juxtapose that with the Radiant vision. They're definitely focusing on keeping Nexus alive, but in the meantime, the rest of the map is under the control of RoX.
Yep, and now the Magnus, who has started off with losing fights to Mud Golems, has picked up Arcane Boots. Bottle is level 6 and looking quite strong right now. I have to say a lot of that's due to this Keeper of the Light, who himself has picked up Tranquil Boots. Their team is, oh, mid lane, it looks like the Queen of Pain is actually going to take a fault. Nope, just able to blink out in time.
Yeah, 3-man going aggressive on that there, but the Fish are not able to hold in against that blink. Stellainer just able to maneuver appropriately, didn't even have to pop off the magic wand. But yeah, Tinker still, with the help of his allies, able to control pretty well, and moving up towards 38 last hits is really, really good for him as he wants to move towards those travels as fast as possible. In 800, that might be an option, but it looks like Queen of Pain is going to pop off that Shadow Strike. It is rank 1, but the TP comes out from Earthshaker, so the ulti shouldn't be sufficient to bring him down.
I think though that just forcing out that TP is almost good enough on its own, because Earthshaker's falling further and further behind. Oh my god, no, I take it back. He already hit level 5. Last time I saw him he was 3. Where did he get this experience?
No, I mean, he's been effective roaming around. I mean, he hasn't gotten a kill, obviously, but he's been forcing people back. And although, actually, mid lane, there is Magnus jumping in, and with that Sonic Wave, maybe overcommitting, but they wanted to make sure that kill was locked down before Tinker had any chance of being saved by his allies. So, Queen of Pain's ultimate on cooldown for the time being, but nice little kill, putting up 4-0. But yeah, Earthshaker coming up and getting a little bit of experience for his own, going up to 180. It's not that sizable, but it's not too bad for support that's been off the lane most of the time here.
I mean, if you consider this Earthshaker is a head-on experience in the Coddle, and the Coddle has been, blasting creeps all game. So it actually, I think, is fairly
big damage on Darkseer, and the Echo Slam does come out, but he's all by himself for the time being. Scratch that. Tinker comes in with rank 2 rockets after the Fish comes on through, but Earthshaker takes a fall to the Shockwave. Now, next at Ultimate, already using the Lucent Beam. Close the distance, going to be able to bring down Bane right here, most likely. Just quick right clicks to finish the job there, but everybody else just TPing on away and trying to be safe from that position. Diving in aggressively, picking off a couple, but going on from there. But it's just so much damage coming out long range with the Queen of Pain with Scream and double damage, and then the Shockwave obliterating Darkseer before our eyes. It's just he doesn't have that much durability, and I'm kind of surprised. I guess he might be going for that early mech build, but if he was going for a pipe, I'd say that he really needs the cloak right off the bat.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a mech build, because the reason that mech is becoming more and more popular is kind of because, and it's recursive, right? Since mech is becoming more and more popular, you need to get your mech faster, because going into a team fight where the other team has a mech and you don't is crippling. The additional burst heal, the burst armor, just does so much against heroes like the Gyrocopter and the Luna. Also, look at this Gyrocopter, and rather, look at the ward surrounding this Gyrocopter. He is playing so aggressive because his team is basically guaranteed his safety with this ward coverage. And that means that he's constantly pressuring top tower. It's forcing the Darkseer to keep going back there and allowing the Dire team to get a lot of room to play on the map.
Yeah, so that's, allowing him to play aggressively. Of course, now moving up towards level 10, and he's just being able to do whatever he wants to do. On the other hand, Sharfik has pretty much told the same story as he did last time around. On the lane, he has dropped down twice, only getting 1 kill for his troubles, but with the Invis Rune, at least will be secured in his survivability for a decent period of time, as there's not too much reason for anybody to buy detection. I mean, Sentries, RoX in general have been really great on the warding, but nothing much beyond that.
Yep. It looks like the Queen of Pain is in fact going for a fast Axe build, and I think that's going to be really effective, especially when she gets to level 11. If they can sync up with a Magnus RP, it's just going to do a ton of damage. It looks like Tinker wants to maybe hope they come in and get a deny here, but I think everyone's just going to kind of walk away. In the meantime, Luna's farming. I don't believe that this Helm of the Dominator is going to be particularly effective this game, because you're not going to be able to start stacking Ancients, and while it's just good to have a Centaur around for, the Aura and mid lane, is anything? No, okay, that's an invisible. Yeah, that was invisible Tinker, and I saw the mini-map, and I'm like, what?
Nah. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying there. The Dominator, it could have a lot of potential, but the fact of the matter is there's really good wards coming out of RoX. They've been keeping tabs on those kinds of things in general, and I expect that to keep happening. And along those lines, the fact is, Gyrocopter, if they can win a fight on the Ancients, they can take as much advantage of it as the enemy can. So that's a pretty important deal there. But the fact that they've been holding the line so long against the Keeper Light just shows kind of the potential of Tinker with the fact that he's been farming up, now hitting his boost travels, and yeah, he's been able to turtle up with the rank 4 March of Machines up against that Illuminate and come out on top. Now might have to lose that Illusion Rune, but beyond that, he's been doing what he needs to do to transition into a completely new phase of the game, a completely new hero when he gets those boots of travels, as he has a lot of global presence. Now Nexus taking a lot of damage, but actually could pop off Eclipse here to do some damage, but Queen of Pain just walking on away. Luna just going to TP on out of here, call down, get some vision, but they're not going to be able to follow up with any disables. They're going to push down the tier 1, but with Luna safe and sound, they're going to just keep on doing what they've been doing, winning on last hits. I mean, Darkseer probably mostly taking jungle creeps, but the Luna has been on top of things, and now that Tinker has that global presence, he'll be able to counter push out on the top lane whenever he feels like it, and just pretty much go for aggression himself. And we were talking about Ancients. He's one that can capitalize on stacks just as effectively there.
You know, another really interesting thing that I really love about RX's lineup is they've been dedicating a lot of farm to this Magnus. They're trying to get him that Blink Dagger in a good time, and I think that's just, you know, normally you don't see farm priorities shift around a lot in teams, and they kind of stick to the same thing. So we'd be seeing that Queen of Pain still farming mid, for example. But instead, they really dedicate the farm to who needs it right at that moment, you know? With the Gyrocopter being one that always needs farm since he's the hard carry. But Queen of Pain's like, you know what, eventually I'll get an Ag Stick, but I don't need it right now. It's not going to change the course of the game if I get an Ag Stick. When this Magnus gets his Blink Dagger, it's like the Tinker getting Boots of Travel. Like, it just changes the way you have to play. Because if you get 3-man RP'd with a Sonic Wave on top of that, you're going to lose that fight. There's literally nothing you can do about it.
Speaking of bottom lane, Nexus getting caught up on the Fiend's Grip with that, and Bane finally hitting that level 6, and actually has been that for a little while, but capitalizing on it, finding an opportunity to use the call down on top of the Fiend's Grip. And although it's not like AoE positional control like the Clockwork was, it's still going to be single target effectively, putting them in the spot to be locked down pretty hard by the Gyro, by the Keep It Light, etc., with their delayed burst damage in a specific location. And that allows them to, of course, push up aggressively, while Luna doesn't have money for buyback and wouldn't want to commit it this early on either. So, yeah, now they're going to take down this tier 1, which is the second tower for them, specifically. And actually on mid, we do see Queen of Pain doing a lot of damage, popping off that ultimate to bring down the Earthshaker. So a kill, bring them to 8-1, and getting that second tower kill. Really nice for them.
Yep. It looks like the Rubik does, in fact, manage... Oh, he steals the ultimate.
Sonic Wave, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But he does has to wait for mana for it, of course.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to... I don't think it's going to be that effective, just because... Well, if they think he has Blink, it's going to be very, very effective. But I doubt that the Dire is looking to get a fight anytime soon. So, with only level 1 spell steal, it's just, you know... 3 minutes is a long time, though. Actually, I take it all back. I'm wrong.
Sure enough, sure enough. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities for it. We'll have to see if they get the opening for it, but it's really, if ROX knows about it, which most likely they do, the Queen of Pain would have called it, and with that, they'll be playing in a certain different mindset. They have the Blink Dagger, they can control in any odd position they want, and so, actually, a lot of long-range harassment damage with those rockets, with those Lucents, but I was going to say they can just spread out, but with those kinds of things happening, it's going to be difficult to hold the line if you're not grouped up together to, you know, do what you need to do here. The Eclipse is available for hitting any single target, and the Martial Machines and things along those lines are going to be able to do a lot of multi-target damage here. The Illuminate will do quite a bit here, bringing down everybody, even the Rubik, down to about half HP, putting pressure on the tier 2, but in the meantime, on bottom, there's a little bit of exchange between Tinker, and actually, big ultimate popped off, but completely misses the Polarity and the Skewer up on Rubik himself. Now going to be dropped down. Fable, though, reducing some right-click damage. They might not be able to finish it yet. Shockwave will come on through to complete that process there, but beyond that, the Bane was the only casualty there, getting caught out a little bit on the northern end by the Earthshaker, but you know, that's going to happen one way or another, but they get the deny on the tower, which is the most important thing there, and Gyrocopter, I believe in a skirmish with Tinker, is just going to hobble back onto base, his engine barely running, but still working on out.
There you go. But actually that was really interesting. The Darkseer tried to chase, but just between phase boots and a drum pop, Gyro walked right away, and in a little bit of desperation there, Darkseer drops the wall, trying to go and pick him off right at the end, and it just doesn't quite go. And I think this is the part of the game where we see, like, you really want a mech. Like, if they had a mech that fight, the Bane would have lived, probably had enough time to get a brain sap, lived even further. And it's just such a tremendous difference.
But I gotta say, there's some really good items coming out of ROX. The fact is, Queen of Pain has a black King Bar, which you generally can't see on Queen of Pain at 18 minutes. I mean, she might be halfway to Ags or something, but in this case, she just rushed it. She doesn't want to have to deal with the disables, the nuke damage, etc. Just going to be able to bypass all that and dish out a lot, as well as just stand and deliver with some good right clicks as well. Getting it so early on means she will use charges more aggressively, and with that, won't be having like the 10 to 8 second BKBs when it comes down to like the 35-minute mark or something like that, because that is kind of a drawback. But for right now, having the presence in the fight where you don't have to worry about anything but an Earthshaker Fisher to block you in, that's going to be rather potent. And now in the jungle, that everybody is getting flanked up for the time being. I'm not sure with that blink, rank 4, Nexus is the only one that's actually caught out here. And big exchange coming on through. The Eclipse pops off, and yeah, it's generally delivering a world of hurt. But with that Eclipse, oh my gosh, Illuminate, and with the Sonic Wave, Stelliner kind of clean it up. But trapped in by the Fisher, March of Machines will bring him down. So Dire just completely got wrecked in that position there. The Keeper Light Illuminate along with the Queen of Pain ultimate could have been so powerful, but the Magnus got picked off by that Eclipse, too much damage, and now the Keeper Light's going to pay for it as well. So a very surprising but effective retaliation. The Earthshaker Fisher splitting up that fight very nicely, and the AoE damage was just there.
I gotta say, I think if they had just waited a little bit to get the mech of their own on that Keeper of the Light, like he was maybe 200 gold away, and then gone for that fight, they'd be much better off. Right now, I feel that in like the battle of carries, right, they're a little bit ahead with their Gyrocopter in comparison to Luna. But Luna still will do more damage in those kind of jungle engagements. Oh, RP on just on Luna. Let's see if his Skewers back.
Yes, Skewers are back on in. Nexus on low life here. Doesn't really have too much to do. He's just going to Black Cannon get right-click down by Gyrocopter there. So, really nice teleport in. But yeah, just Sidoi finding an opportunity that shouldn't have really been there. Instead, it's going to be Tinker. Has that rocket on him, so Boots of Travels won't really be a very good option. But he might survive just yet. Yeah, it's going to be, of course, a very, very gradual wind-up time. So they're not going to be able to pursue, and with the Skewer on cooldown, not going to be able to do too much about that.
So Luna got the kill on bot lane, then bot out, went to bot tower, and died again. So like her farm has been quite crippled. She has the Yasha recipe, managed to have the presence of mind to buy that before she went down. But this Gyro is only about maybe 2,000 gold away from a BKB, and once he gets BKB, it's going to be much different fights.
No, it's very true, very true. So, yeah, a lot of limitations on her farm as it's kind of slowing down just a little bit. Gyrocopter instead picking up. Once he gets that BKB himself, he'll be able to do exactly what Queen of Pain's doing. They both pop off, if they both commit to a fight with the Black King Bar, Stelliner, and Biz is perfect. Going to be just doing everything they want to. The only thing they really have to worry about is the Wall of Replica, which you already noted in the draft is mostly nullified by the Flat Cannon pushing out so much. So until Darkseer picks up both a mech and a pipe, it's going to be not too difficult to just burst those down in an AoE.
Yep, and it looks like the mech is just buying more and more sentries is the Keeper of the Light. I really feel that, while they want to keep that advantage and like definitely having vision on the map is the best way to do it, if they let the Magnus go and buy some sentries for a bit and finish the mech on the Keeper of the Light, it would be a lot better. They need that item very quickly because as soon they'll be playing against a pipe and a mech, and it just that gets uphill really, really steep.
Now, real quick for me, check out the experience graph. The team fight that they won in their jungle, IC that is, was able to swing forward really, really good in momentum, getting tons of levels. They were coming from behind. They got almost a full team wipe there, and they got a lot out of it. But just a few pickoffs that have come since that time, ROX are just going to take control on back. And like you said, as far as gold goes, it's always been in favor of ROX, and it seems to be that's going to continue to be the case. As long as Magnus initiates generally appropriately, Gyrocopter has the damage to back it up and is going to be able to deliver some hurt right off the bat.
Yep, and it looks like they're going and putting a lot of farm on this Magnus, and he is he's sitting at around 2k gold. I wonder if we're just going to see him, like, wait until they get the mid lane. It looks like they're seeding bot tower, rather.
Yeah, everybody teleporting back on there. Good Keeper Light Illuminate to counter push, but I don't know if it's going to cut it.
They can hit 9 now.
Oh, big polarity coming out of Luna. They do beautiful Fisher coming on through to kind of negate it, and it's stolen by Rubik. Gets the ultimate off. Queen of Pain low, but pops off her ultimate for the time being, knowing it cannot be stolen. Should have gone for the Scream. I'm not sure why not, but Solo able to survive. TP on out of there, going for the deny. Keeper Light gets it. Now blinking on away, but the Force Staff comes through for Tinker. With that Fisher, they should be able to finish the job. March away, a couple right clicks, going to finish the job for a dominating spree for the Tinker. So really, really nice action there. The polarity was successful, but with that Rubik stealing it, getting it on 2, BKB nullified a lot of his duration, and that was very painful indeed. Back up on top, Darkseer. Yeah.
Darkseer he didn't defend the tower, and there was a call down already prepped.
Oh, that's painful. Rubik gets a deny, though. Denies all across the board. They've been really good at making sure these tower kills don't go in the way of the enemy, but oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. I have not actually seen Rocket Barrage on Rubik, but it kind of seems silly, just missiles flying out everywhere. But
watching Rubik with Flat Cannon, that's like he just throws one out and it just flies everywhere. It's like a build your own Necrolite.
Awesome. But yeah, along those lines, BKB was committed by Queen of Pain, and obviously took a lot of damage there. Trying to follow up, didn't bring down the Rubik, unfortunately. So in the end, it's actually coming much more towards an equalizer here, 10 to 14, rather than the substantial advantage that RoX had previously. And as far as, are they trying to detect wards, or I'm not even sure what Stelliner's position is exactly.
The problem is the person who's dying the most is in fact the Luna, and that's something they can't really afford, because while the Luna is being really effective with just providing that Lunar Blessing Row, which, by the way, she is not leveling up in favor of Glaives, which is, you know, that's something that is debatable. Like, I can see why she's going for it, since they're trying to push really aggressively, and she's trying to create a lot of pressure, but just the extra damage you're giving your team can't be underestimated. And she's going to get a tower here, which is, you know, fantastic for her.
Yeah, it's really what she needs if she wants to get back into this game. Of course, she is a little bit behind on last hits, but more importantly, like you said, really bad off on KDA. So getting a tower last hit really bumps up her GPM compared to what it used to be. And I presume she's going to go for the BKB next?
And I think the Magnus is also going for a BKB, by the way. Like, this is going to be BKB City. Although, I would not, you know, if this is, again, it's going to be a little bit unusual, but if the Magnus goes for a Halberd, I wouldn't say that'd be so bad either. Just getting a little bit more survivability that way, and, you know, once the BKB is down on Luna, if you can Halberd her, she's basically useless, and that's the majority of their damage after the, besides the March span.
And another tower just kind of given away. They're going to go for the Roshan and be able to bring it down with minimum consequence. So they do get that Aegis on the Gyrocopter. And in exchange for the Tier 2, that is an effective trade because they get some experience out of it. But losing both those towers and just getting the Rosh out of it, I got to say IC have a lot of more map control. Very effective on the top lane. It opens up the jungle. They get this beautiful Radiant Ward up, which will make sure that they can control and contest the farm of the Gyrocopter. And although the Aegis is powerful, it's not going to be the end-all be-all if they can find a pick-off on him, as he's generally farms by himself most frequently.
Yep, but I think now that he has that BKB, he's got a 10-second charge, he's got an Aegis, I think this is going to be the part where they're trying to go and get the high ground. Maybe just push down that top lane, get one pick, and just kind of oh, great sentry there. Good awareness of, you know, where would I be warding if I was the enemy team. But I think that's basically going to be their plan now, to go and quickly push with this Aegis, get a Rax, use up that 10-second charge, because there's, you know, they can go and maybe wait for the Manta as well, because he's fairly close to the Manta, but if they don't do something big with this Aegis, I think they're just wasting a huge opportunity, because the BKB is almost up on the Luna.
It's about, it's a rough estimate, but about 1,500 gold away from the Scythe of Vice on the tanker will be a really big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the BKBs are out, but as soon as that expires, the Queen of Pain can be susceptible to that, or anybody that didn't purchase one in the first place. A pretty big deal there. But one thing to also mention is the fact that we were talking at the beginning of the game, they have such great turtle. They have such great, you're not pushing up this hill, we're going to be able to control it no matter what. And if they want to bring the Luna to the late game, they totally have that option. They just have to make sure that they're well warded and controlling the positions that they have available. But for the time being, that's not what we're seeing. RoX are on top of things on the warding, and yeah, they are, like you said, they took out the ward up top on the plateau up there, and of course they're covering up the Ancients and other things. So really well sentried, well observed, and they're going to have a lot of control moving forward. It kind of limits how much Nexus can farm in a secure manner.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's what they need to do, but the problem is, at the same time, like, this Luna now has a BKB, and a lot of the damage has been coming from this Queen of Pain, so they need to make something happen with this Aegis. I do believe that, like, what am I trying to say? I do believe that Gyrocopter beats out a Luna in the super late game, because while Luna will do more damage over maybe, let's say, like a 40-second fight, a 50-second fight, the fact that you can flat cannon down, you know, it does 100% damage, the AoE is massive, you can just kill the enemy supports outright.
For that, I kind of actually have to respectfully disagree. In that regard, Flat Cannon is a pretty big cooldown. It does do a lot of damage, 6 auto attacks, 100%. If you're talking Divine Rapier level of farm, absolutely. It's going to be able to just do so much potential to everyone involved. But once there's mechanisms on the board, Pipe of Insight, and you don't have that Divine Rapier status, maybe just like Crit or MKB, it's not going to compare to Luna, who can have that glaive, have that cleave aspect up 100% of the time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I just feel that once you get crit and you have that kind of damage, like not even rapier style, right? just 800 HP, 900 HP. These supports are so weak. Even the Tinker is forced back. The amount of even if they don't outright die, you force them into a really bad position. You can follow up. I think the rest of Gyrocopter's kit is a lot better in the late game as well. When you consider the call down, it just does a ton of slow, and his stun is a stun. It's a bit more valuable. But if the fight goes longer than maybe 40-50 seconds, then the Luna definitely takes over, especially with that lifesteal.
Sure enough, sure enough. So that's kind of how they're building it up for the time being, but Tinker is also another factor that comes into play when he goes for that Scythe. Of course, he has been working on it for a substantial period of time, but once he finishes that up, he's going to be in a really good spot to move on forward. Taking a right-click on the Ancients, just cleaning it up. But anyways, beyond that, Bane has picked up a Geometry side, which we've already seen amazing sentries, and it kind of feels like the supports have given up on warding. As far as the actual effective value of Solo and the Earthshaker, as far as their ward potential, there are a couple observers left on him, but he's sitting on Arcanes all game long, and if he can't get that Blink Dagger to use it for a little bit of a positional play with Fissure or Echo Slam, he's just going to be a very limited hero, so he doesn't want to have to buy ward after ward after ward, and with this Geometry sight, it might be the nail in the coffin for their map vision, because they can't just afford to dump wards and then a minute and a half later just have a Bane walk on by and right-click them down. It's going to be very painful for them, but the fact is, if Tinker doesn't have vision, he's easily going to find himself in an overwhelmed situation, just getting flanked up and putting himself in a bad spot through his boots of travel.
Yep. Now there's exactly 1 minute left on the Aegis. The Gyrocopter has finished his Manta Style. The Magnus has finished his BKB. I really, really, really hope for their sake that they do something right now, because this is about the biggest advantage they'll be able to get relative to the other team. This is like when they are relatively the strongest.
Yeah, I mean, they're losing more and more as time goes by, although they are still up on kills. The fact is that they are not going to be able to keep this locked down 100% of the time, and as soon as that Aegis expires, they are pretty limited. The BKBs, again, aren't really late game. I mean, they're late game as far as negating disables. That's very, very powerful, but the fact that they keep on reducing, it's too expensive to buy one back since they made sure that you can't sell it anymore. So with that, if they're not going to use the Aegis right here, obviously it's about to expire, and I kind of agree with you that if they're not going to push now, then when are they going to be able to?
Yeah, Again, I don't think they're ever going to be out of this game since they have that Magnus. But if you're going to go and turtle with a Magnus like this, 4,200 gold on that BK, or 3,900 gold on that BKB, he could be a fair chunk into his full refresher, and a refresher Magnus is terrifying. He'd only be about 1,400 gold away. So if you're going to turtle like this, you might as well get a refresher. If you have a double Magnus ult, you can take the game as late as you want because you have a 5-second disable. Or rather, more than that.
Yeah. And one thing, just referencing chat real quick, they were talking about the benefit of Pipe versus the Divine Rapier, Flat Cannon, stuff like that. Obviously, those don't interact, but there's a lot more supplemental damage they have to worry about. The Queen of Pain ultimate, the call down, those kinds of things, if they're negated by Pipe, then you're going to be able to survive that much longer against the Flat Cannon, that kind of thing. So it really comes down into when they get the opportunity. But we're looking at, oh my gosh, they walk right by this Keeper of Light. They could have jumped on him easily, but instead he might be TPing away. If he gets out of here, oh my gosh, the telekinesis does not come, the vacuum does not come, did not react in time, and wasted entire smoke opportunity. Like that, I mean, they just cross paths, ships, it was almost going to be ships in the night, but instead they just walked up to him and said, hey, see you later.
Well, guys, I guess it's been fun. I think in that kind of position, when you're the Darkseer, you should just spam the vacuum, because if you miss it, it's like a 22-second cooldown, and if you get it, you get that kill, and it's such a huge upside that there's no need to be that conservative.
Now there is a Scythe of Ice up on the Queen of Pain, which will really change things quite a bit, as although Luna has her BKB and Manta, not a single other hero has any way of negating it. So that's going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, of course, Tinker does have a Scythe and can pop that out multiple times over, but like we've kind of iterated on, that there's a lot of BKBs up. There's 3 BKBs for the Dire here, 1 even for Magnus, which is kind of ridiculous, but, it will effectively make sure that Sodoi doesn't get sheeped up right when he's about to pop off that big polarity, so it can help him out quite a bit, and kind of makes him so that he doesn't have to be like, okay, well, this guy's not in my circle, so I can't initiate, and kind of hesitate from there. It allows them to...
Do you think that's the right decision, though? Because, even with that in mind, I don't think I would be getting a BKB on Magnus this game.
It's a hard call. I mean, obviously it's his choice, and he'll just have to live with it here, but I don't think a refresher would have been nearly as practical as the BKB in these circumstances.
Oh man, this gyrocopter's got that demon edge, but I think it's going to be MKB this game to go and counter
Mhm.
the eventual butterfly coming from
Yeah.
the. But at the same time, like I don't mind seeing rapiers. Like I'm all about it.
Sure enough, sure enough. I mean, if they were at a huge disadvantage in the game,
Right.
I would agree with you. But as far as the rapier's potential, but right now there's no reason to commit to that big of a risk, especially since we're in the grand finals. They are down one game in this best of three, so this game counts for them. They have to win it if they want to proceed into the final game, and not really obviously. They definitely don't want to just throw it all away on a risky play like that. So it could
Yeah.
pay off, but more
I
likely
mean, he
just
doesn't
going to
even
be
have lifesteal, so there's not really like. If you have lifesteal, the rapier suddenly becomes one of the most effective tank items as long as you get to keep hitting them. If like with lifesteal and BKB, like rapier is like that's a defensive item at that point.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have it, and I don't think he's going to get it. And I think an MKB is a much smarter decision this game.
Sure enough, sure
Although
enough.
I think it actually might be relevant for Luna to be looking to get MKB pretty soon too, because blinding light has like kind of been crippling her in some of these fights.
Yeah, it's a very, very effective disable there, but has different ways of getting on out of it either way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be that
Can
big a
you
deal.
Manta the blinding light?
As far as I know, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it's a debuff that is dispellable in general, so I think Manta
Right.
Style would be able to take that off the board. But either way, it looks like there's finally initiation coming on in. Sadoi pops off only the ultimate on the Tinker, and Solo will be able to pick it up. No, gets Fiend's Grip on down, so completely obliterated. The Echo Slam not going to do enough damage against 3 BKBs, and so instead it's a triple kill for the Gyrocopter trying to go up against Luna. She does have a lot of lifesteal, and that is impressive, but will she be able to go 1 versus 5? I don't think so. Glaive's killing off the Keeper Light, finishing off the Queen of Pain. Is she going to do it? Holy crap, triple kill. Ultra kill for Nexus as he just obliterates them with so much lifesteal, so much DPS, and that's the power of a level 20 Luna. Holy crap, cleaning it up hardcore and turning a complete loss into a very, very resounding victory in that. Oh my gosh, that was insane.
Wait, why did the gyro? Why does he have 5,000 gold sitting? Like he would have had buyout even with his buyout's 1,000. Like he could have picked up that NKB. He could have like finished a big crit. Like a Manta. Like I think they just kind of all of them had like a lot of gold in their pockets there. That's a little bit strange in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, it was very close. 3,000 plus 1185 plus 600 some is going to be a lot of gold to deal with. But I think you're right that they did have just barely enough to pick that up and go on forward with the buyback. But he just didn't find the opportunity. They wanted to go right then. Sadori thought he had a spot where he could pick up the Luna and the Tinker, but instead only picked off one. And from there, yeah. So I thought that the IC had lost that fight the second that Solo got Fiend's Gripped by the Bane, of course. But the fact is that Luna just coming on through and showing what a carry can do. Obviously, with that farm, moving now towards Butterfly, going to pick up an Aegis instead of her Magic Wand, and it's going to be hard to bring her down. They need to kind of try to contest this, but I don't know if that's an option. MKB up on the Gyrocopter finally.
But that's just like this Luna, just that lifesteal was insane. Like it's been a long time since I've seen a Luna with that kind of farm. Oh, it looks like this ES is just going to give his life for the cause. There's not
Yeah, but it's for a Roshan, so I think it's well worth it now. The question is, will they be able to follow up past that? Telekinesis not going to put him up on the cliff. Instead, Saliner Conan. Oh, big attempt for the vacuum, but instead the reverse polarity, skewering away an illusion, just trying to go for the. He should run. There's no reason to shockwave there. Should just try to run for his life. There's good move speed on the Nexus though, doing a lot of damage. Right clicking him between the two. Gyrocopter pops off the BKB and flat cannon, and he can't duel him out right now. Instead, just going to be running for his life. Darkseer pops off the Surge. Mana leaked up though, and is going to take a fall for sure. So Luna walks away with the Aegis Immortal, but 3 people in the grave as a sacrifice there, and indeed the gem as well. So they won that team fight, acquired a gem of True Sight, which they couldn't use for pretty much anything at all.
And I think here we're getting to see that like the reason that Magnus is so good is that cooldown reverse polarity is so short that basically every single fight in the late game you will have it up.
Okay, I thought. Sorry, but just one thing. I thought that experience per minute jump previously was insane. Look at what's up now.
Oh my god, what?
I think that's probably one of the biggest leaps I've ever seen in this game. Like, that is ridiculous. Going from a 3,000 deficit to a 3,000 advantage. I mean, I've seen big swings, but that is just crazy what Luna was able to accomplish in that position there.
Yeah, but again, like, if you look at... Well, it's not as, like, great as we saw last game, but the levels are definitely just on the Luna, right? Like, once you go down, that's a level 11 Earthshaker. And you gotta... They gotta figure something out. Like, this Earthshaker needs to get some amount of farm so you can pick up that Blink Dagger. Once he gets a Blink Dagger, I think they'll be in a great position to kind of take over the game, because that's a completed Butterfly on Luna. If Luna picks up a Satanic to go with that, I'm not sure they can take her down.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. All in all, that is just like it's just too much damage. And if it was not for the Aegis the Immortal, I'd say she's all right, but it's possible. But the fact of the matter is, even with some disables coming out of the Bane, having that second life and immediately the option to pop off Manta Style, BKB, Eclipse, all of them simultaneously as soon as you come up, that is an easy cleanup if they don't respect her potential and keep their distance.
Yep. It looks like the Gyrocopter is looking for some lifesteal of his own, but I would really wish he would just go and like get the Manta. I realize it's going to be slightly less effective given that you're going to be fighting into a March most of the time, but still, that's like a lot of additional DPS, especially when you consider the flak cannon.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously showing now the Helmet Dominator is the right choice, so Gyrocopter going to take a leaf from that book and go on forward. Biz is perfect, going to go alongside that, and now actually going aggressively. There is that Sheep going on to Tinker. Will be able to try to rearm here. There's just too much damage coming forth, so even with that Sheep, going to get hit up, canceling out the rearm with the Rocket, and that's going to be a unfortunate pickoff, 68 seconds. Obviously.
Yeah, but they need to go and he needs to sell something and buy some TP scrolls really quick because bot lane is going to get pushed in. If that Gyrocopter's not there, they're going to lose that. Oh, wait, recall. Shaker.
Recall.
Auto's like completely unfair.
Yeah, so Keeper Light obviously showing some good potential there, and now they're going to try to move in. They obviously have the Tinker down for 50 seconds, want to make the most of that time period, and since Roshan isn't an option, the team fight is. They're going to initiate right here. BKB on Queen of Pain, only 5 seconds. Pops up her ultimate on Earthshaker alone. He is going to take a lot of damage, but instead there is the Eclipse. There is so much damage from this flat cannon and the call down going on through, but Nexus still stands. He is going to duke it out, has that Butterfly active, and is just doing so much damage right here with the Lucent Beam, trying to finish it off, and both of them take a fall, but the Aegis obviously showing that is favorable for the Luna. However, everybody else is back up. Gyrocopter popping off that buyback, trying to TP back on in. Nexus farming creeps might be a mistake with that mana leak with the homing missile. Then he put himself in a bad position, but they do have the Tinker to try to help him disengage. There is no TP scroll though, and is getting stunned up for the time being. They don't follow up. Oh my.
And again, like I'd just like to point out, Gyrocopter's not. He bought out there, so like literally he had the gold. Like he could have finished something. Like, he needs to go and use this gold because he keeps going into fights and they're very close. They're very close engagements, but he's just never able to really actually win them, right? And if this Luna keeps living at the end, it's just going to get more and more difficult, right? Because she's fairly close to having a finished Satanic.
Now swooping up back up, we do see Radiant having a gold advantage, but the experience actually going back towards RoX. They did a lot, got a lot accomplished with the Tinker kill, with the engagement on bottom lane, and yeah, it was a very, very close one, but they finally brought down the Aegis the Immortal, which could have been fatal for them if she was pushing up into the base 5v5, but the Tinker just not getting enough out of that. However, of course, like you said, forcing the buyback of the Gyrocopter, that's going to be a pretty big deal there. Of course, now he can buy whatever the heck he wants, and that happens to be a Satanic is what he's going to be going for there. He can finish up the Reaver at any point in time that he heads over to the Secret Shop, and that is, yeah, that's going to help him out quite a bit. He does give him pretty much new life, popping off that cooldown and getting a couple good right clicks out will give him at least half his health back right off the bat. And of course that will be really good, but the MKB is really, I think, the core item that he needed and is now going to be able to dish out a lot of damage. Of course, he did use it quite effectively up against that Luna, and that's why she did take a fall, otherwise she'd just be evading his right clicks left and right. But all in all, I think they're pretty evenly matched now that this Reaver is up on Luna, though she does not have buyback herself.
Okay, so plate mail on Queen of Pain, Shivas or AC? I'm going to go with AC.
It's hard to say, but I say AC would probably be the best option because it all comes down to this Gyrocopter versus Luna that's happened over and over again, and since they're neck and neck with the Satanic pickups right here, I mean, oh shit, double damage, of course, changing the matchup there, but if the AC was picked up, it would help Gyrocopter put that pressure out. Now the pipe is popped off, they want to go high ground, Illuminate, getting nullified by that cooldown, now putting damage pressure on the tower, but it is, for the time being, fortified, and now if Feeble goes out on Nexus, so the double damage kind of counteracted. Doesn't want a piece of that, instead just going to fall back from there.
Yeah, it's not often you see people that are enfeebled that are still doing about 400 damage. That always brings a little smile to my face. But the double damage is about to run out, and I think Dire dodged a bullet there. It was really good that they still had their glyph up.
Yeah, so that is, popped off the Fortify, and that in of itself is quite a win, but The damage that these heroes are putting out more and more now, I kind of feel like the second that people drop down, towers and racks are going to fall rapidly. They could almost go for, if they got like a convincing win on a fight, screw Roshan, screw gradual racks, take the tier 3 and go for the throne, because we're moving on into the 44-minute mark. They're going for big damage items next, and I honestly think that they have a lot of potential here. Darkseer is surging on in, popping off the pipe once more. Big polarity on 2. Nexus pulled out of the flat call down, but bringing down the Darkseer immediately. Now looking at Nexus, she will do some right click of her own. Satanic popped off to heal up as much as possible. Gyrocopter doing the same. Kid's got a couple right clicks, but the Eclipse doing a lot of damage right now. Will take a fall. Now it's going to be Queen of Pain that drops down. It's going to be a triple kill for Nexus, and yeah, that is just going to be doing so much for them. Big thing was a Gyrocopter illusion there, adding in some big right click, had the MKB to propagate, and they're going to be able to take down this tier 3 before they run. No, 95 HP, they're going to fall back for no. Nexus popping off. He does blinding light for the time being, can't hit the tower, finishing it off. Now going for some lifesteal. Satanic back off cooldown, wants to go aggressive here, and yeah, farming up for the time being. Sheepstick popped off on Nexus, going for the skewer. Burst damage right now, but Nexus popping off that Satanic, healing up so much and turning it around. Godlike spray for him, and he's going to take these racks available. I mean, Queen of Pain can't do anything right here, and of course Gyrocopter just has to watch as it's pretty much his buyback is the same cooldown as his death, so not going to be able to do anything at all. And instead, Line are going to get dropped down. Nope, has his BKB available, but Luna just turns to the tower, which has his backdoor protection off thanks to the nice gradually pushing creep wave towards the mid lane there. But Nexus is going to finish that off and most likely fall back from there. But just really nice in general what they've accomplished, and holy crap, they want more. The Bane is available, but as far as ultimate, not for 30 more seconds, so they're going to finish off the racks, and that is a sweeping victory for them. I mean, 4 out of the 6 racks taken off the board in just a matter of like 1 minute, and of course winning out that team fight. I'm not going to say it's a good game, but man, they need to be at something big. That was a good polarity, that was a good skewer, but a little miscommunication on the call down. Nexus survived just barely long enough. And I got to say, Darkseer, with that wall replica and the pipe, really did what he needed to make sure that Luna could engage on the front lines.
I mean, the Gyrocopter illusion actually killed his own teammates there. Like, they just put out a ton of damage.
Gyro going in on Luna, though. The Satanic is popped off for Luna for the time being. Gyrocopter does the same, so they're both topped off for the time being. The ultimates are nullified by the BKBs and everything, just doing the DPS. There goes the Sheepstick. Nobody else matters. It's really all about Luna. And oh my gosh, those Blaze killed. Nope, it's going to be the laser from Tinker to finish the job. Magnus back on in. Skewers away. Polarity through. Now the rockets come on out, but yeah, Tinker doing a lot of sheep. Gyrocopter can't do lifesteal for the time being, getting dropped down, a couple right clicks to finish it off. Nexus turning things around, do some right clicks on Sadoy to finish the job, and the movement speed advantage. No, Fisher and the Lucent Beam to finish it off, and that's got to be the good game right here. Wow, that was an amazing game, but IC take the second win. That is going to be their second win in the best of 3. Amazing game.
Oh, they played phenomenally. Great amount of patience that they showed there. And again, like, they showed that they can play from behind. I do feel that the Dire was ahead in the beginning of the game, and just slowly, IC gained a little bit of an advantage there. I think in the end, though, that game basically came down to, yes, there were these 2 juggernauts, right? That were the Gyrocopter and the Luna. But the support squad from the Radiant team was able to just do a little bit more, you know? Chaining hexes, going and having that vacuum wall, the big lift and the ES fissure kind of walling the enemy team off. They played it perfectly. Really great play from the Radiant.
Absolutely. Good game, well played. IC takes the win. Second victory out of this best of 3 means they claim the match and therefore have qualified to move on into the Premier League itself and take one of those 10 slots. 8 of them already defined, and we just have to see what the North American scene has to offer for that. But awesome play from them. They just really earned that with those past 2 games especially. They fought really hard, and Nexus, of course, farming up so aggressively. 413 last hit, 782 GPM, coming out on top of so many team fights that seemed to be just too much for her, but came out and did so very well in that. So awesome play by them, and just so much action in the mid game. I can barely remember the laning phase, but it was mostly just farm. Got to the point in time where they were ready to fight, took the engagements they needed, and awesome action from them.
Yep, and props to RoX. They had a great tournament and they played quite well this game. It just wasn't quite enough, and like a lot of the games like this, they just came down to slivers. The Luna was barely able to survive, barely able to get the BKB cooldown all the way through, and Magnusfeld's barely missed. So it's heartbreaking to see them lose. They played really well, but like we said, there can only be one. Congratulations, Ice Climbers, you're going to TPL.
Sure enough, sure enough. And I just got to say, real quick, thanks to the Premier League for this tournament specifically. Every single game that I casted, it was very smooth. The admins had really good control over where the passwords were coming and everything as far as hosting and making sure there were no real hiccups there. So I got to say thanks to them specifically. But if you guys enjoyed the action from Ice Climbers, please check them out February 10th. I don't think they're going to be playing the first day, maybe like the third. But February 10th, we're starting off with different matches for these top 10 teams to be going up with best of 3 matches pretty much every day, every single weekday. So hopefully you guys can join us there. The fact of the matter is, I am Blaze, this is Rainmaker, and we had a lot of fun casting this game for you guys.
Yeah, GG's guys, great games.
Sure enough.